That's plagued the
Yeah.
city over time, and the local government knows it. Around 2020, the former mayor Francis Suarez tried to reboot the city's image. He launched a crypto.
He looks like a villain, to be fair. Like, let's be honest here. That
A new title, and it is quite the scandalous one. The Magic City has been crowned the OnlyFans capital of the country.
Hi, I'm Guy. I just got done watching a Fern video about a slaughterhouse of people and corruption and violent stuff. So I'm prepared to watch a video that will both make me happy and possibly horny. So today we're watching a video by Moon titled "Everything Wrong with Miami," or "Miami is Everything Wrong with Society." Sorry. If you like the video, subscribe, like, please. And but yeah, without further ado, let's get into shit, baby.
Miami, the Magic City, is a modern American dystopia. It is the city which perfectly parodies America as a whole. It's where the country's billionaires have decided to live next door to each other. Jeff Bezos bought this $100 million home on Indian Creek Island, then bought his neighbor's mansion right next door. This ultra-exclusive billionaire bunker contains a 300-acre man-made island with its own private golf course that looks like something straight from Dubai. Across the street is Mark Zuckerberg's residence. Then you have Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump owning property there, along with Howard Schultz, Sergey Brin, and Larry Page. You might even
Mind you, couldn't be bothered to solve, global warming or anything like that.
bump into Peter Thiel down at the local Equinox, where you can just casually go past one of his many houses.
Indian Creek in Miami is called Billionaire Bunker.
Big businesses are moving here from all over the world. The financial center is packed with companies like Citadel, Nvidia, Uber, Microsoft, and Palantir, which even recently moved its HQ to Miami. This is what the Miami Beach mayor has to say about the city's meteoric rise.
This is going to be the next finance hub of America.
Forget New York and LA, Miami has become the city everyone aspires to break into, spawning a whole new generation of OnlyFans girls, crypto bros, and anyone else clinging to the idea of who they want to be. On the surface,
Yeah, all I know about Miami is if you're a girl, like the whole thing about like if your girl goes to Miami, that's not your girl no more. And oh boy,
city works. We visited, and the first version we found is the side you see on TikTok. Huge modern mansions, yachts, and massive boats parked outside in the harbor. You could even see Indian Creek from a distance, but could never get near it. There are patrol boats everywhere and a fortified gated entrance. But we also found a completely different side to Miami that isn't in the reels and podcasts, but not in the obvious way like Las Vegas or Los Angeles. Miami sells itself as the real deal, with real money, real businesses, and a real vision of the future. And for a moment, you're convinced. The whole city is essentially a stage set arranged to look like a paradise. Drained, filled in, paved over, planted and replanted. All by a series of developers over the years, all of whom saw immense potential in a humid, mosquito-infested strip of swamp that nobody wanted to live in. The palm trees that line every boulevard aren't native to South Florida. The majestic royal palms were imported from Cuba. The coconut palms came from the South Pacific by way of the Caribbean. Even the sand on Miami Beach itself gets trucked in every few hours because the real beach keeps washing away. So this is a place built on appearances,
Wow.
so it's not really a surprise then that it's the global capital of an economy that runs on them. Take this guy we met in Brickell, wearing camera sunglasses and making content by hitting on girls.
I just go around hitting on girls with that, bro. Pretty much it. The glasses, just slick it, record. Been doing it for a while now, like 2 years now. I was on TikTok one day scrolling and I saw this guy doing it. I'm like, yo, you know what? I could do that too. So I just bought him one day, bro. I remember I uploaded one video and then boom, my life changed forever.
He told us
oh my god, that. I mean, get how you live. The economy is screwed now. Hell, I'm doing my own. I'm reacting to you when you making bread, so I'm not in much room to talk. Like, damn, just the fact of like a dude doing some like arguably degenerate shit, just like this dude doing it, and he's making money off it too. It's like, damn, we're kind of fucked, aren't we? Damn.
that Miami is his best market.
Best videos I've ever made was out here. Dude, I think I saw one girl, dude. Oh my god.
Out here?
Or right there by that like little trailer. It was fake, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Dude, her ass was huge. I was like, yo, like, I walked up to her. I'm not gonna lie. Like, yo, like, your ass is humongous. And I think, yeah, dude, I think she won the award for the biggest ass.
That is hardly surprising because
That's insane. That's crazy. Do you have pictures? That's crazy, bro. Do you have pictures? That's crazy, bro. Honestly.
Miami is ground zero for the looks-maxing movement. It was why Louis Theroux spent most of his time there filming his latest documentary, Inside the Manosphere. There's also people like Dr. Miami, the city's most famous plastic surgeon, who built a massive platform live streaming Brazilian butt lifts from his clinic in a city that's become the BBL capital of the world.
On average, how many BBLs do you think you're doing?
A lot.
Like in a day or
Oh, no. And it's not a factory. It's not like 15 a day. I would say 2 a day, maybe.
Yeah.
1 or 2 a day.
How many butts are out there in the world?
Of Dr. Miami?
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah?
Thousands and thousands. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Aside from all the BBLs, when you're out in Miami at night, you notice another huge part of its identity, the clubs. Miami nightlife isn't really a scene so much as the gravitational center the rest of the city orbits around. Most of the people you see at the airport end up at one of the club tables within the first weekend in town.
I want to say if I did ever go to Miami, which I feel like is something I should at the very least cross off my bucket list, I definitely go to a club for like a one time and then never again, bro. Y'all just be drinking, bro. Damn, y'all sweaty ass. I know some of y'all smell like booty cheeks and backwash. I'm not trying to deal with all that. I come home once, smell like somebody else's meat and backwash, ass sweat. I'ma be pissed.
Spoke to Sneaker, who resides in both Miami and New York, seeing how life really is in the center of Miami in Brickell, and why everyone seems to be moving here.
Well, right now I have a gun on me. I can't do that in New York. Like everywhere I go, I'm strapped. The taxes are better, and there's more. Everyone says that this is the new LA. It's just like there's a lot of motion here right now. You want to be where the action is if you're trying to grow.
Yeah.
But he also made the same observation everyone makes about Miami. You need a very deep wallet if you want to actively get involved in everything it has to offer.
Most of the people in Brickell that live here are millionaires, or at least like close in terms of assets and in business. Yeah, I was in most of these people are millionaires. And when we were kids, being a millionaire sounded insane, right? But now it's just like pretty much almost everybody that I talk to around here that you see has $1 million, and it's crazy how normal it's become. I think 100K a month was a benchmark.
When you talk to those running the nightlife, they tell you more about who's fueling the city's image. This is Nate, one of the top promoters in the city. He also moved to Miami from New York, and he's the go-to guy for crypto millionaires and hedge fund kids who spend 6 figures a night just to sit at the best table. He estimates Miami contains, in his words,
in Miami, you have the smallest but largest concentration of wealth anywhere in the country, and most of it's new money. So new money doesn't act the same way as old money. Old money had to work their ass off to get to where they are. They had to do all sorts of things over years and years and years, generations to get to where they are.
And he puts his finger on the exact culture Miami has built and how it benefits promoters like himself.
New money, they pretty much snapped their fingers and money appeared. It could be the course sellers. It could be the crypto guys who pumped a meme coin. It could be guys who started OnlyFans
I know
companies.
Andrew Tate was living it up in Miami, bro. With all the way he talks about women and how I know he was living his life in Miami. He was, oh my God.
The whole nightlife economy is driven by a ritual that Nate calls the parade. At a certain point in the night, there's a moment of suspense before the bottle girls march out from the back with sparklers and giant champagne magnums while the entire club is forced to stop and stare at whichever table is doing the spending.
There's certain parades that only certain people who are big spenders at the club can get. So then when I have girls out and I have a guy who's got like that $100,000 tab and he gets the 7K, I forget what the package is called, but he gets the 7K parade, entire club gets shut down. Literally all eyes are on them. They shine all the lights on the thing.
The biggest single table he's ever seen hit $200,000 in a night, and the people spending it were a group of crypto kids who got lucky on a meme coin a week earlier.
Those crypto kids have no concept of money. Most of those guys, what they did was they bet on Fartcoin before Fartcoin went crazy, and they became, in literally a matter of like 5 days, became 100 millionaires.
That is the definition of new money, making generational wealth from a Fartcoin because you were right on the Discord or Telegram server at the time.
Yo, you going, bro. Good for you, bro. I'm happy for you, bro. You're doing great, bro. Okay, yeah, right. Right.
Nate also completely agrees with Sneako's benchmark.
So if you don't have money like that, where $10,000 is not going to put a dent in your account, don't come to Miami. It's not worth it.
But the whole point is how this place has positioned itself to be aspirational, or as Sneako and so many others told us, the new Los Angeles. Or at least Los Angeles before that facade broke down and aspiring entertainers ended up on Skid Row. Miami doesn't have a Skid Row yet, but there's an army of younger people trying to fake it until they make it by renting supercars, running up debts, and pushing their lives into dangerous territory. And it's the same culture that's turned Miami into the OnlyFans capital of the world, for both the creators and the subscribers. You see, Miami has more registered OnlyFans creators per capita than any other large American city, with roughly 1,110 accounts per 100,000 residents, compared to around 617 Las Vegas in second place.
Well, Miami has earned a new title, and it is quite the scandalous one. The Magic City has been crowned the OnlyFans capital of the country.
Well, a new study found that most models on OnlyFans are right here in Miami.
Miami is also in the global top 5 for total money spent on the platform, with roughly $17 million flowing out of Miami subscriber accounts in 2025 alone. Sophie Rain is based in Miami. Blac Chyna started her career as a stripper in Miami before transitioning onto the platform. Even people like Mia Khalifa got their career starts here. The Boss House is a mansion in Miami where only
Bro, well, to be fair, I got the jokes beforehand, but now as I'm really learning all this, like, oh yeah, no, okay, so this is why people think if people go to Miami or if their partner goes to Miami, they're going there to fuck. Yeah, no, this is the city of indulgence. At least it seems like it. I don't want to.
Fans creators live together.
I don't want to just like put a thing over y'all, but like, I don't know, bro.
Producing content around the clock. They later upgraded to a $100,000 a month penthouse in Brickell dubbed the Gen Z Playboy Mansion. Well, this OnlyFans creator thinks it has a lot to do with the city's aesthetic.
So I think with the people in Miami already working in music videos, already working in commercials, in bikini shoots, and you know, all these things that show off skin, I think it's not really hard to just go from one thing to another.
Sneako's friend Sonny Faz explained how this modern sex industry looks completely different from a few years ago.
Over 70% of the money is made through the chatting. Like, it's not through the $5 subscription like most people think. It's through guys trying to build an emotional relationship with the chick. Yeah. And like literally they think they're talking to her, and they're not. They're never talking to her.
Behind every successful girl on the platform, there are so often powerful unseen men taking a cut of the profits.
Some of the biggest people, like, they'll start dating a girl and then it'll just be bikini pictures and then they're now having steak free. Like, that's stuff.
This is what we found when we made our last video on OnlyFans. Sophie Rain claims to have grossed over $100 million on the platform, yet she didn't post explicit.
Right, cool. That's fantastic, bro. I'm so happy for you, bro. That's women empowered, money, 100 millionaire. So much money.
Content for most of her career. One single subscriber, a man called Charlie, who she says has a wife and kids, has paid her around $7 million, mostly for messages.
Shout out to Charlie.
But obviously, not everyone is a part of the super rich class and can afford to pay Miami's huge bills. In fact, almost everyone is in debt. Florida has one of the highest household to debt income ratios in the country. Auto loan defaults across South Florida have been climbing for years, especially on all the high-end leases you see, so the Lamborghinis, the G-Wagons, the Range Rovers dotted around the streets. Even the wealthier residents are spending so far above what they bring in that they're effectively living one bad quarter away from the same edge as everyone else. Miami is what lifestyle inflation looks like at scale, and it's a warning sign of what's to come elsewhere. A city where the baseline has been skyrocketed unrealistically high to meet an unrealistic environment with unrealistic costs that can't be sustained. The gap gets papered over with credit, trust funds, and crypto bets. You live.
Yeah, because around where they live, spending a lot and just like being like high and like living in high indulgence and everything, that's just the culture. They literally made a country where like having a bunch of money and spending a fuck ton of money has become the culture. You can't just like ditch your culture like that. And even though if you're in the negatives, you really should, but you know.
fast and run out of money young and hope to get a lucky break just before you plunge off the precipice. You start noticing that everyone's flocking here for the opportunities, staying for the lifestyle, and somewhere along the way the line between the two disappears. Blurring the lines has been the city's strong suit since the start. Go back to the late 70s and the Colombian cartels needed somewhere to put billions of dollars a year in physical cash, so Miami banks were eager to help. By the early 80s, the local Federal Reserve branch was sitting on a bigger cash surplus than any other branch in the country combined, because there was so much drug money flowing through the system. That last prediction is as valid now as it was then, as money was cleaned up and poured into the condos and hotels, which formed the first generation of the skyline you see today. And it never really stopped. After the 2008 financial crisis, anonymous shell companies were buying Miami homes for over $100 million a week, mostly in cash with no names attached. When the Treasury finally stepped in and forced these companies to reveal who was behind them, the anonymous buying mysteriously dropped by 70% overnight. A lot of that was foreign money, South American oil executives laundering stolen cash, wealthy elites fleeing collapsing economies, crime families parking capital offshore, or Russians swerving sanctions and relocating.
It's funny because the people who are running away from the collapsing economy have the money to fix it, but you know, like me, I guess.
From Europe or Dubai. Last year, a 74-year-old Miami realtor pleaded guilty to selling and laundering luxury condos in the Bal Harbour and Aventura districts on behalf of two sanctioned Russian oligarchs. Miami's realtors and developers are often in the news for fraud and financial crime, with fraud felony rates amongst the highest in the US.
Police say Priscilla Marie Contreras, Yordani Carrias Diaz, and Dinocer Bravo are pretending to be realtors and homeowners.
Back, two men are behind bars tonight. They're accused of running what the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office calls a sophisticated scheme defrauding a Miami Beach condo, its owners, and board members.
Long before the drug years, Miami was where the rich from North America went to lose money on land. In the 1920s, a real estate bubble inflated by speculative developers selling underwater swampland to retirees collapsed so spectacularly that the entire state economy went into recession years before the rest of America followed into the Great Depression. Carl Fisher, the man who built Miami Beach, sold lots that didn't exist to investors who never visited. So the entire Florida land boom that followed was structurally a Ponzi scheme. And that reputation followed Miami until now. The savings and loan scandals in the 1980s, mostly in South Florida. The practice of aggressively selling worthless stocks to vulnerable people, also South Florida. The mortgage
it is the home, it is like very crypto focused over there. So, you know, I'm not saying crypto caused it, I was like in 1920s. I'm just saying, you know, smoke follows fire. That's all, you know, or, you know, so smoke comes from fire. That's all I'm saying.
Of the 2000s, a good portion in Miami and Florida. And then of course, Miami made itself the natural home for crypto, NFTs, meme coins, and whatever else, because the people pushing them knew the local culture would eat it all up. Several of the most notorious illegal ICOs and crypto investment schemes have traced back to Miami. It's the same story in the city's biggest new luxury development. This was supposed to be the most luxurious apartment complex ever built, a 66-story tower called the Aston Martin Residences. Yes, that's an apartment block branded by the British luxury car maker. It's $1 billion.
Damn. Respectfully though, I know I wouldn't survive. However, comma, you know how fun, how amazing it would feel to just jump off the first story and just fall. I don't know if anyone else thinks this. I love the feeling of falling, like in midair, like jumping off something. I love it. It would just taking a swan dive. It would be so good.
Project and the tallest all-residential tower on the East Coast. It was sold as coming with a private marina, a helipad, exclusive beach club access, the full works for Miami's new money class. The top penthouse alone sold for $59 million. By the time the building opened in 2024, it was already 99% pre-sold. And of course, the promotional materials looked spectacular. But not long down the line, it became a gluttonous monument to Miami's fakeness. The issues with it are nearly endless. The helipad was never built, the beach club access hasn't come to fruition. The building, according to a lawsuit, is literally falling apart. Concrete is spalling off of the balconies and dropping onto the streets below. Then there's the steel reinforcement itself, and even the absolute basics like functioning elevators.
Now at 6, developers of downtown Miami's Aston Martin residences face their second lawsuit in 4 months. Residents say they see concrete balconies crumbling, their seawall corroding, and claim it will cost millions to fix it. They blame the builder.
Basically, it's just turned out to be terrible, which is even more painful if you invested millions into the building. And this isn't just a case of negligence, it's all allegedly wrapped up in a sophisticated scam, or what the lawsuit calls an immense shell game, using a network of companies to siphon millions out of the building's finances. This is what happens when something's image falls completely out of sync with the substance underneath it. This has happened with almost every object that surrounds us. A banana isn't a banana, not really, it's just a copy of a banana that you've never even seen, felt, or understood at all. Today, a photograph is rarely by definition a photograph, but rather a manipulated image that exists in near infinite degrees of authenticity. If you live somewhere like Miami, your life doesn't resemble the life of any of your ancestors. The substance and purpose behind it were copied into oblivion and literally don't exist anymore. Miami shows you what happens when an entire place becomes disconnected from reality. You start with a real genuine thing, in this case a muddy swamp with some promise. The railroad was extending itself down south, and it didn't take a genius to work out this tropical coastline was valuable. Then the constructed image began to distort what lies beneath it. At first it was pretty reasonable, supply and demand economics driven by people who wanted to live in a warmer climate. But Miami by the 1980s had created a compelling exportable image with its neon lighting and colourful suits. The Miami Vice aesthetic that made its way around the world. A glamorous appearance began to take over a more complicated reality dominated by gangs and scammers. In this respect, Miami was precisely like Dubai. A place manifested into reality through the pure power of greed and human willpower. You end up with a simulation of a real place, with imported palm trees, sand, broken buildings that cost millions but are vapid, lacking substance and not underpinned by anything real or honest, where the people and population becomes fake, superficial and materialistic. The French philosopher Baudrillard called this the simulacra, which was inspired directly by America. The US makes the simulacrum inevitable as it has little ancient human history, or in Miami's case, zero history spanning back longer than about 75 years. That's plagued the city over time, and the local government knows it. Around 2020, the former mayor Francis Suarez tried to reboot the city's image. He launched a crypto.
He looks like a villain, to be fair. Like, let's be honest here. He looks like the American politician at like the end of a movie who's like in like like that one random army soldier's way of like saving the world. That's who this guy looks like. Let's not be surprised.
Currency called Miami Coin, which lost 95% of its value almost immediately in what turned out to be a pretty absurd stunt for making the city look financially cleaner. He and the mayors kept using phrases like business-friendly regulatory environment. What that means is, first off, Florida charges zero state income tax, so a $50 million earner moving down from New York saves around $5 million a year just on that line. Then there's the homestead exemption, which means once you buy a house and live in it, no creditor can ever touch it. This is why O.J. Simpson moved to Florida the moment he lost his civil case. There's no estate tax either, and amazing trust laws that let you lock up wealth for 360 years, and a state financial regulator that's known for turning a blind eye. On top of all of that,
Hey my boy, you need money. So you need money. Here, let me tell you something. Here's an idea. Just a little quick thing. Tax the rich. Tax rich people living there. They have more money than everyone there, hell, and the state over combined.
Recent mayors added a fintech regulatory sandbox that lets crypto firms operate without the usual licenses, as well as reforms that make it harder to sue Florida's businesses. And that's why you see offices from the likes of Citadel, one of the biggest hedge funds on the planet, and Blackstone, who are buying up properties all across the world, as well as Goldman Sachs, Starwood, and so many others. Sam Bankman-Fried's platform FTX opened up an office here before it imploded, and he was sentenced to 25 years and ordered to forfeit an astonishing $11 billion. The very factors that made Miami a destination for cartel money are now being marketed to Fortune 500 companies as the top reason to relocate. As the wealth concentration snowballs, the gap between the richest and the poorest has widened to a gaping chasm, even by American standards. The bottom 20% of workers in Miami earn an average of about $10,000 a year. The top 5% earn over $500,000. The median net worth for white families in the city is around $107,000. For American-born black families, it's $3,700. Nearly 1 in 5 people in Miami live below the poverty line. And over the years, thousands of residents were relocated to make room for a highway interchange. And the poorest parts of the city were displaced into the hills away from the glamorous seafront. We visited one called Overtown, right next to downtown and Brickell. And most who visit Miami for a holiday have never even heard of it. It used to attract some of the biggest names on the jazz and soul circuit, hosting iconic gigs by James Brown, Ella Fitzgerald, and Ray Charles. Today, right next to the—
Oh my god, why is it always racism? Can y'all just like not be racist for like 5 seconds? Why is everything connected to racism, bro? Oh my god, just let it, just stop, we're all human, Jesus Christ. Damn.
fancy Brickell and downtown area, it has some of the highest violent crime rates in the entire state.
Also developing here at noon, a woman in the hospital. She was stabbed several times.
It happened last night in Miami's Overtown neighborhood.
A man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
A man is fighting to stay alive in the hospital after a shooting in the Overtown neighborhood of Miami.
A third and final boy taken into custody, charged as an adult for his alleged role in the rape of a 12-year-old girl in an Overtown community garden last June.
We literally tried to film there and got threatened and had to leave.
Oh, we're just doing like, because we're from Europe, we're just filming Miami.
Nah, not over here, man. Oh!
Alright, yeah, we'll get out of here.
You went there yourself? Oh, I didn't know we had boots on the ground. Hold on. Okay, type shit, dude.
Alright.
Another of Miami's most notorious districts is Liberty City. People often assume Liberty City from GTA's basement, but that's purely a coincidence. While Liberty City has cleaned itself up over recent years, it's a former drug trafficking hotspot and its violent crime rate remains more than double the national average. An OG former shot caller—
That's even more of a coincidence that it's in tune with GTA.
Grew up during the cartel era and served 21 years in prison described what this world looked like from the inside.
I'm born into the game out of violence. That's the first language in Miami, violence.
If Miami homicide saw that it was over some drugs, they would say, just chalk it up.
Let's move on. Part of the war, because it was going on so much,
people dying every day.
Miami's intense wealth segregation, with the rich on the seafront and the poor in the inner city, might actually one day be an ironic twist of fate. Because the city itself sits on a gigantic base of porous limestone, meaning the ground beneath it works like a sponge. You can't build a seawall against it because the water percolates through the rock itself. In Miami, sea levels have risen about 6 inches in places since 2000, and the city's average elevation is 6 feet. There's a time of year called king tide when the tides are at their highest and water spills through the streets. It's not really what you envision when you think of Miami. The inland neighborhoods on the higher ground that don't flood are where the poor were pushed to by decades of development. But now that the expensive parts of the city are starting to quite literally go under, the high ground is suddenly very valuable. So they're doing everything they can to buy it. And eventually it'll just be another wave after wave of gentrification like Miami has already seen in places like Wynwood, a place that was once the ghetto like Overtown just a few years ago. That has become yet another place for endless condos and overpriced coffees. And the risk here really is imminent, and yet nobody wants to talk about it. In June 2021,
hey, I don't think I want to go to Miami no more, bro. I don't think I want to go to Miami no more. I'm gonna just go to Spain or some shit, bro. They got better shit over there anyway.
A 12-story beachfront condo in Surfside, a suburb just north of Miami Beach, collapsed in the middle of the night and killed 98 people. Investigations found the building had been structurally deteriorating for years while maintenance was repeatedly deferred. Since then, Florida's homeowner insurance costs have roughly tripled to an average of $6,000 a year, more than 3 times the national average, and insurers have started pulling out of the state altogether. But the construction never slows down. There are cranes all over the downtown area, and almost all of them are being operated by people who live in the neighborhoods we just walked through, miles inland from the buildings they're putting up. At over 60%, the majority of the construction workforce here was born outside the US, by far the highest percentage of any metropolitan area in the US, and meeting demand amid the influx of millionaires from around the world is grueling work. The local newspaper, the Miami Herald, spoke to a group of them about working conditions last year.
Better pay. It's literally, if I lived in the most showy and rich part like the most like showy and like flexy part of America. Everywhere I look, somebody's rich and got money, and I was getting paid like $30,000 a year. The entire city is going. The entire city is gone. Not blown up, not torn asunder. Gone. It's gone. It's going to be gone when I'm done with it, bro.
4-year-old Colombian painter described spending 20 years on scaffolding in dangerous heat without a harness, where he'd actually lost 2 colleagues to fatal falls. Workers then described routine wage theft, with contractors owing them thousands and simply refusing to pay. And Florida doesn't even have a state agency to handle this.
Wage theft costs Americans more than any other type of theft.
Because Florida has no state agency handling unpaid wages, you can fight your case in civil court.
So if you're owed money, your only option is to take your employer to court yourself.
My family here was affected, my family back in Guatemala was affected, and they would ask why I couldn't send money and why at the time we couldn't make ends meet. He's laughing in the face of authority, he's laughing in the face of law.
It is in many respects the US equivalent of the Dubai employment model, with one redeeming caveat that in Miami you can technically leave your job and nobody confiscates your passport at least. But being an undocumented migrant means you can't complain without risking deportation, and every contractor in this city knows that. So the end result of indentured servitude is pretty consistent. We noticed how the city has adapted to its large migrant population, given that even adverts are completely in Spanish with no English translation. When it's time—
Yeah, they literally set it up in a way to where, like, notice, oh my god, that meant for this video to be something fun for me. All right, cool, we're here now. Notice how, like, it's all like, get these immigrants out of here, blah, blah. But wait, hold on. Free labor, bring them in. You won't do anything. Like, they're hurting our families. They're hurting. Like, they're trying to tear down America. But if you're working for less money, I can let you in free of charge. Come in, baby. And like, gee, like, holy shit, man.
To walk away from Miami, you leave with an image of a gleaming city built on imported labor, where people live in conditions visitors will never see, marketed as the future and sinking into the ground while everyone pretends that day will never come. And that's the very thing about Miami that makes it different from anywhere else. It's not fair to say that it's failing. It's seemingly very clean, very safe, and well organized. It's not completely falling apart at the seams like places like Los Angeles. And it's not really a stereotypical dystopian vision. It bucks the trend of what we might imagine one to be. It's a vision that's slowly sneaking up on us. It's a vision of intoxicating excess that cannot be sustained. There's no rubble, no air raid sirens, no brutal executions in broad daylight. Miami's version is just softer, wrapped in sunshine and palm trees, and a very convincing pitch that this is what winning looks like. And that pitch is spreading. Every major American city is trying to become like this right now. They're offering tax incentives and asking AI companies to come in and build massive data centers next to people's houses. They're deregulating to pump more and more money into local economies, but it ultimately lines the pockets of a few. Cities all over the world are destroying themselves in pursuit of what politicians call progress, but is really just survival. But in Miami's case, and metaphorically otherwise, this vision is quite literally sinking, and the only certainty is that the richest will be the first to escape.
Damn, hold on, wait, I was actively looking for hotels in Miami to see the price for this shit. Damn, 1,713. Yeah, that one's 665, but it doesn't look like, it looks more like it's definitely on the lesser side of looks when it comes to that. This one, 861. Okay, 1,082. Oh shit, that's just for one night. Is that just for one night, or is this for 7? Okay, this is for 7 days? Yeah, this is for 7 days. 958 for 7 days? That's not bad. Oh. Don't get twisted. I know for a fact too. Okay, yep, there it is. 2,077. Yep. And this one looks ugly too. Type shit. Anyway, if you like the video, subscribe. Can I get a comment? And that's about it. I'll catch y'all later. See you.